Welcome to today's episode of Sassy Detectives. We're your hosts,
Tori.
and Rae, and we are here to talk about anything and everything Nancy Drew. And today we'll be talking about Ghost Dogs of Moon Lake. Roll the intro.
Yay!
So who here likes dogs?
Me!
And me! I'm actually playing through the remastered Oblivion right now, and there's this one NPC that walks around, and the first time you talk to her, she's like, I think her name is, I'm Rena Brilliant. I love dogs. Doesn't everyone? And, sorry, the NPCs are so campy in that. It also, sometimes they remind me of Nancy Drew characters with how they are like, goodbye, hello, goodbye, and stuff like that.
Have you ever played any of the Fable games?
The what?
The Fable games?
Rings a bell, but no.
Okay, well, Fable 2, it was for Xbox. So Xbox 360, Fable 2. I loved that game, mostly because you can have a dog follow you basically the entire game.
Oh my gosh, this game actually does look very Elder Scrolls.
It's very fun. I've played Fable 2 and Fable 3. I've never played the original. But 2
it definitely looks up my
pretty
alley,
fun.
though, yeah. It's definitely my vibe, though, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, dogs, we love them. They're cute. And this game has a few of them.
Yeah.
4, to be exact. And listen, I know they're supposed to be scary and everything, but I always thought they were cute.
I was scared of them in the beginning of the game when I was younger.
See, when I was a kid, I've always, been somebody who just doesn't believe in ghosts. And so when I was a kid, I just thought they were fake dogs. And I was like,
animatronics?
They're cute. I don't know, I just thought they were fake.
Oh, okay.
I was like, they're not real, so they're not scary. But they are cute.
I thought they were real dogs. I didn't think they were ghosts. I just thought they were dogs that would hurt you because, that can happen sometimes. And
oh, yeah. I mean, I've got bitten by dogs before, so, I know dogs can hurt you. But
so that's what I thought the ghost dogs were.
Yeah.
So do you want to lead us through this game, or do you want me to start leading us through this game?
I think I'll start out.
Okay.
So, basically, this game starts out with you receiving an invitation to visit your friend Sally McDonald in her cabin in the woods in Moon Lake in Pennsylvania. And it's like, oh yeah, it's this really cool this really cool cabin that used to be owned by a 1920s gangster back in the day and has a really cool history about it, but ultimately it's super just nice and cozy and stuff. So Nancy's excited to go there, yay, I'm seeing somebody I know at a lake. And then she gets there, there's a storm or something, and a tree falls over and blocks her car from getting in and out and everything. And I always thought, if anybody's that scared of a situation, a fallen log would not keep me from running away. you know?
Yeah, I'd just drive around it somehow, even if it was into the brush.
I would, as long as you're not driving a Cybertruck, you could probably 4x your way around the around the log.
Yeah. So I don't think
my other car that I just gave to my sister last year.
Yeah,
Lobelia.
that's true.
Lobelia would die. If it were Lobelia, actually, I feel like I would fare better on my own 2 feet than in Lobelia in that situation, yeah.
Yeah, you could just get out and walk.
And I would be more reliable than she would. But yeah, so there's this tree. And so Nancy's like, well, I'm stuck here now. And she goes into the cabin, and she can't find Sally anywhere. And there's this note on the table or something that says, hey, Nancy, call me, or something like that. And so, you call Sally, and she's like, "Yeah, girl. I didn't want to be here. Um, was it that? Oh, wait. I don't think she had a note.
I think
I
you're just
think
looking around and the phone rings.
yeah. And then you answer it, and it's Sally herself, and she's like, "Hey, Nancy. I'm not here because I want to be." And that would be personally. I feel like if I were to go somewhere where somebody's house was supposedly haunted or something, and they just left me there and called me and said, "Hey, good luck,"
Yeah.
I would be like, "Girl,
Also, why did
rude."
Sally not lock her cabin up when she left?
Yeah, like I would have done that because like there's no lock. Like, what I mean, there was, but like not. Anyway, so yeah, you can call her, and so something happens to where the line like starts cutting out,
She's just telling you
and
that she left because she was
yeah,
scared and she can't take it anymore.
yeah.
And then at one point you hear the dogs start howling while you're on the phone. And then her like reception starts breaking up and she's like, "Just
Mhm.
beware of the dogs." And then it's like
Yeah,
howling and snarling and teeth and claws. And then it just like disconnects.
And so then you can go to the I think this would actually could be considered the front door because it has the porch and everything there.
Yeah, I would say it's the
Um
front.
yeah, so you leave by the front door, and all of a sudden there's a mysterious old man in front of you in camo gear and a hat and everything, and he's like, "Shut up, you're being too loud." And at first, like, I've always been a red knot hater. Um,
Really?
because he just, yeah, it's not his property that he's on, and he's telling me to shut up.
That's true.
Like, I'm a guest of the person who's on that property, and so, like, why are you in my tree telling me to shut up? And I'm not even that loud. But then, like, he just starts telling Nancy about, like, shh, you don't want to scare off the birds and everything. You don't want to, like, talk about the birds and stuff because he's a bird watcher. And so, yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, and I'm only here at night, so if you want to talk to me, you have to wait all the way till night, and otherwise I'm not going to be here." And then you can talk to him. You can go up to the tree that he is in, and you can talk to him there. And yeah. And he like asks Nancy about all these different things, like, "Do you smoke?" And Nancy says, "Only when I'm on fire."
That
Which
you can't have that
honestly,
conversation with him in the beginning because you
you
get
can't.
interrupted by the
Oh,
dogs approaching the house.
oh, right. And you have to go back, right?
Yeah, so he's like, "You need to get
Yeah,
inside
yeah,
right
yeah.
now. I'm leaving. You need to go inside right now because the dogs are almost here." And you can hear the dogs like howling and getting closer.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's that. But then like you go inside and the dogs start attacking, and you can like there's like the little paw claw sounds against the doors and the walls and everything, and then you can look out the window and see them, and they have like these glowing yellowish greenish eyes and everything. And I always thought they were so cute.
They
I
are
don't know.
cute, but I
They're
I was
they're
scared of them as a
doggies.
kid.
They're dogs, okay?
Yeah.
Dogs are usually really cute, you know? So I see them and I'm like, "Oh, friend." But like also, as long as the dogs are only attacking at night and your house is secure enough, which seems like the walls outside are, just not the floors apparently, you're fine. So like just don't go outside at night. Like that's it.
True.
So like I don't know, this game was never really that scary to me as a kid.
I think it's
But
more atmospherically scary than it is plot scary.
I will say having to walk around the forest in the dead of night is a bit freaky.
Yeah.
but I do love those vibes. You know, like the horror of being in alone in the middle of the woods
Mm-hmm.
and everything feels like a maze. That's good stuff right there. That is good stuff.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
This game canonically takes place in the springtime, like how we're recording this right
Mm-hmm.
now. Does it give you
Oh
spring vibes?
yeah. It gives me like late summer vibes, I
Same.
guess. Yeah, like not like in the dead of summer, but like it's like the beginning of September and you're going on your last camping trip of the season or something, or whatever. You're visiting some old friends for a camping trip or something, you
Yeah.
know? It does not feel springy to me. I don't know. The vibes aren't really springy.
Yeah, I always thought that this game took place in like September, um, until I realized that that's not true. It takes place in like April. Um,
Yeah.
so
April,
anyway,
wow,
just
this
a question
feels
I thought I'd
really early.
ask.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you wake up and now, yay, it is morning. Huzzah. Um and it has like the music reminds me a lot of like the I can never remember the name of the classical piece, but it's this one classical piece where how could I can't my vocal tune things are not as good as a piccolo and a flute, unfortunately. But you know, if you know what I mean, you know what I mean, you know?
I don't know what you mean,
Is it
but I will just thumbs up.
Purgant Sweet, I think. One of them?
I like listening to classical music, but I would not be able to tell you anything about what I'm listening to.
Okay, I'm gonna. Yeah, it does. Some of the stuff you can listen to sounds kind of like Purgant, or however that's how you pronounce the name, Spring and stuff, like the Four Seasons. Um, but there are quite a few. I have this one playlist. It's gonna take you way too long to actually look it up, but like I do love how like bird-y the music sounds, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it sounds very birdy. Not like what you would typically expect for something that takes place in the middle of a forest in the woods with camp with the cabin and stuff. But you do hear a lot of like the birds in the music, you know?
I do think that
Um
this soundtrack is like really good at kind of evoking this feeling that like the music is made up of like natural sounds, which I really like.
mhm. But yeah. So anyway, there's a few places you can explore. Like there's the shed, there's the house, there's the forest, um, and there's also a dock with a boat. And it's like, oh my gosh, yay! I can go on a boat and I can go across the river, but you can't. I mean, the lake, but you can't, um, because the motor isn't working
Yeah.
because you need a spark plug. But first, you need some torque, baby.
Gotta have some torque.
Um, gotta have some torque. So you go to the shed, you get a screwdriver and everything,
You know, I
and
would
then
wager
yeah.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
throw a statistic out there that I'm making up on the fly, okay? I
Mhm.
would wager 80% or more of us Nancy Drew fans in the community heard the word torque for the first time from this game.
Actually, not me.
Really?
Yeah, very long story. Not for the episode, but I
Okay.
did know the word.
Okay. I had never heard the word until this game. And I don't hear the word
Yeah.
often outside of this game. As a full-grown adult, I still don't hear this word a lot. So,
Yeah.
I would
I
wager
mean,
I would wager that a lot of us maybe this was our first
yeah.
experience with the word torque.
I mean, I am from like a very blue collar family, so
Oh, okay.
yeah, like everybody in my family has done blue collar work at one point or another. Um yeah, so I knew it, and I knew what she was saying, and now realizing that that was probably the first place a lot of you guys heard it, I'm wondering, like, what did you guys think torque was? Because,
I
like,
I think for young me, it was probably like I probably just thought of it as like force, or which it kind of is in a way. Um
yeah, it's like leverage, I guess, but
yeah,
in
I
some
think I
kind of
kind of
like
understood
spinny
what she
way.
was
Yeah.
asking for at the time.
God, I just like I know what things mean. I'm just very bad at explaining them. So like spinny leverage is how.
Yeah, fair.
Anyway, so gotta have some torque.
Mhm.
But when you get everything open, you don't have a spark plug, so you need to wait until night, and then you can see you can talk to Red Knot, and you go up there and you're like, hey my guy, can I like have a spark plug? And he's like, no. And what does he do again?
He asks you to take pictures of
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. The birds. And so you get pictures of the birds and everything. But one of my favorite things, is it the bugs? No, it's not the birds yet. But anyway, you can go and you can find pictures of birds with his camera and everything. Does he give you the spark plug like right away, or do you give him the photos after or something?
No, I well, actually yes, you get the spark plug. But you do have to take the pictures. But you can't get them all until you have camo, which you have to have the spark plug to get. So I'm pretty sure he just gives you the
Okay,
spark
that's right,
plug
right,
and
right,
says,
right.
"Hey, but I need you to do this in exchange."
Yeah, so you get all that done, and then now, well, all that you can get done. So now you have a boat. So now there are two more places you can go. You can go to the ranger station, or you can go to M's Emporium. So first, I think we should go to M's Emporium. So M's Emporium, it's basically like a little store with stuff on it, including Brady Armstrong VHSs along the back wall.
Please
Um,
sign me up.
but also you can talk to M, and she's just like this hillbilly lady, just having a good time in her store, collecting bottles or something from the shores of the lake
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. So there's that. Um, and yeah, you talk to her, and she seems just pretty fun. I guess just like she's just hanging out and chilling and stuff. Not too much going on. Um, yeah, you don't learn a ton from her right now. But there's like sodas and stuff. One of my favorite things in this area is in the store. There's a little fridge which has fishing bait in it and stuff.
Yeah.
And so and Nancy, she goes in there, takes the takes the lid off of them, sees the worms wriggling about, and is like, ew! And this is the most annoying ew I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, okay, Nancy, you've probably seen worse than this. But nope, the worms. Those are the worst things ever for her, I guess. And also seeing that she has to collect them later on in the game. But girl, stand up, you know?
Yeah, true. Once you talk to Emily, you can also get the cassette player from her that Red left there, and the cassette tape with the bird calls on it. So
Right, yeah.
that you can kind of, I guess, use that if you need it. I don't really understand how the tapes help, but um but you can also take the boat over to the park ranger's office, and you can meet Jeff Akers, who is honestly way too handsome to be doing this job. I said what I said.
Listen. So in Danger by Design, there's a mini game called Model Match,
Mm-hmm.
and Jeff Akers is in it.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Akers, his face is in it.
I
And
support this.
the only other human face in there from the game is Jane, because she's the one who created the game. Obviously, so she has to be in there. But Ranger Akers is there. Ranger Akers. He
And
must
Ranger
have left
Acres,
his job.
he gets a bad rep. Everybody's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, Ranger Acres is like a stick in the mud and he's no fun. But he's not really rude. He just cares about the park and he doesn't want people ruining the park. And he cares about the rules that are set in place for a reason. And he's really not that bad.
Yeah, like
if you're
he's
respectful
fine.
in the park, Ranger Acres will have no problem with you.
Exactly, which is why he has no problem with Nancy.
Yeah. So you talk to him about a test kit because Nancy does want to test Sally's well water, so you can grab that from him as well. And you can kind of talk to him about Malone and Malone's house and the cemetery. You can kind of ask him if Malone's dogs are buried there. And you can go through the computer database, which has some historical facts about Moon Lake and things like that. So if you go at this point, you can go back to the house and you can use the test kit on the water that is coming out of the well. And then you can return it to Ranger Acres whenever you want, really. One thing about this game that I thought was really fun was this was the first time where you could change the time of day, but it wasn't with like a regular alarm clock like you could in previous games. It's literally just you can change from day to night, and then it just stays day or night for as long as you keep it that way, which I thought was a really neat mechanic and pretty cool. But there are times, I will admit, where I have made Nancy like wake up and then I realize there's nothing to do, so I just go back to bed and then wake up at another time.
I wish that were me sometimes. You know?
Right?
Like, I have nothing to do today. All I have to do is stuff tomorrow. Guess I'll just fall asleep and sleep for another 12 hours.
Yep.
God, I would love to have
I think you can. So if you change to nighttime, I think you can also ask Red Knot about sandpaper, because the little dog statues inside the cabin, one of them is stuck. So I think he also gives you some sandpaper because he says that. I think you originally asked Emily about sandpaper, and she says that Red Knot bought the last of it because she says he wanted to sand down his observation tower because he kept getting splinters in his hinter regions. And I always thought that was really funny. And then she says he bought all of it because that deck of his is pretty big and the squares I sold him are pretty small. So I think the dialogue in this game is great.
Like, if his hinter regions are being stabbed by the slivers and everything, he's sitting on a chair.
I thought he was sitting on a wooden crate.
Oh, is he? Well, anyway, he's sitting one place. Why does he need all of that sandpaper?
I don't know. Maybe he was getting splinters climbing up the ladder or stuff, too.
I mean, okay, there's that. But, like, that's a lot of sandpaper, my guy. Maybe he was just, like, being, like, just in case, you know?
Yeah.
Like, might as well just stock up. Like, the people who bought all of the toilet paper during COVID, but with him, it's just sandpaper. So, like,
yeah.
If we have another pandemic and suddenly nobody has any sandpaper left,
Red Knot has it all.
Raid Red Knot's house, I guess.
So now that you have sandpaper, you can go back and sand that dog statue, and they correlate to the poem that's hung on the wall. And what I did not know until years after I had played this game, so this is probably like, I don't know, my 15th playthrough that I realized. So when you turn the dogs, you're supposed to turn the dogs, and I always just brute forced it until it worked. But you're supposed to turn the dogs the direction that faces what season correlates with them. And I was like, how am I supposed to know what direction correlates to what season they were born? And then I realized one day when I was looking around Sally's house that there are murals in the wallpaper of her walls. Did you realize this?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I was like, ooh, cool walls.
And I was like, why does this wall have deer on it? And then it clicked, and I was like, hold up.
Yeah.
That's how you figure this out. So anyway, If you spin the dogs the correct way, it opens a secret tunnel with some stairs.
Secret tunnel!
Secret tunnel
through the mountain. Secret tunnel. There we go. Okay,
so
musical interlude.
Yeah, we go down the steps, and there's a basement. And so if you look around, Nancy's like, oh, what is this tiny hole on the wall? This big, ugly hole. And then...
You die!
Huh?
You die!
What are you talking about?
The note on the wall.
Oh, no! I forgot about this. You have to... Okay, before you can even go down the stairs into the basement, you have to find 3, boards that you can attach to the floor so that you can walk across the rotted floor to the secret tunnel. Baby. Yeah, I forgot about this. I was like, what are you talking about? You don't die when you walk into the basement.
Well, not when you walk into the basement.
Yeah, now we're in the basement, and there's like a little hole in one of the walls, and you're like, I wonder how to do that. Anyway, and so then the only other thing that's here is like there's a weird metal door, and if you leave through the metal door, there's a newspaper article on the steps, and if you read it, it talks about like somebody named like William Akers or something like that, and he was like the right-hand man to Mickey Malone, and you're like, Akers, interesting. But then, if you continue up the stairs, then you come out of the side cellar door. And so now you can, like, go through into the basement from the cellar door if you want to. So I think the next day you can go back to Ranger Akers and you can ask him about the newspaper article. And he's like, excuse me, I'm not going to talk to you about that because this is none of your beeswax. And you're like... Okay, legit. As a player, I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. I don't think I would want somebody asking me these questions.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh, well, can I, like, help you with anything? And he's like, oh, yeah, you can organize these envelopes in a box by year. And I really like this puzzle because I learned Roman numerals in school growing up. I don't know, did you?
Yeah!
Okay,
me too.
So,
must be a homeschooled thing, I guess.
I think that if you did not grow up learning Roman numerals in school, this is probably a very difficult puzzle for you, and I'm sorry. For me, it's a pretty easy puzzle. So you sort them, and then when you've sorted them, you can go through a handful of them. And it's not anything like super, super important, but I think some of it is like fairly interesting. There's like an article about Emily and like how she gets treasures from the lake, but she says she doesn't drag the lake because that's illegal. She just waits for storms to like push stuff to shore, and some more history about like the Malone house and stuff like that. And then if you tell Ranger Akers you finished that, you know what he gives you as a prize? An honorary park ranger pin.
I will say,
you're an honorary park ranger. How do you feel?
See, this for me, like if I didn't just do a ton of stuff, like actual work, I would have been like, oh cool, that's fun, I just did a little task. But this is a really big task, okay? This is a heavy duty sorting task, organization task, okay?
Yeah.
And it gives me a child's pin. A child's little badge.
Yeah.
Oh no. Sir, I deserve financial compensation for the work I've done for you. For your job. Okay? I just did your job. Okay? That's it. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Anyway.
So, now you can take that pin back to that weird tiny hole in the, basement at the cabin, and you can poke it in there, and it will open up a safe. And you're like, what should I put in here? And there's a note that says it's like Malone pinched or whatever, which you find out is a slang term for like the day he got arrested. Or I think that's right.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
And so you put that
But then
that date
like,
in, and it opens up. But then there are
but
deer mice, and if you remember what Ranger Acres told you earlier in the game, deer mice have been everywhere and they can carry diseases, so you got to protect yourself. So
don't
if
want those
you
diseases, besties.
yeah, don't do that. So you need to make sure you have gloves and a gas mask, which if you didn't pick up already, it's in the little shed outside the cabin.
See, if you're like me, all of the stuff you've already picked up because if I see anything in a game that I can grab, I grab it
Oh
before
yeah,
even thinking
absolutely.
about it.
Yeah.
Like, because I already know I'm gonna need it and
Yeah.
I want
The
it,
first
so I'm
like
taking it.
the first part of any adventure game, especially a point and click adventure game, I think the first part of any point and click adventure game, before you really like start making progress, at least how I play is I'm going to
Hmm.
look at everything and pick up everything that I possibly can, and then I'll figure out how it all
Absolutely.
goes together.
We loved theft in this household.
Yeah.
We got it. We support stealing.
Yeah. It's the
As long
only
as it's
time
in a
that I
video
will
game.
approve theft. So, if you have those things though, then you can go through the journal and you can read all the pages, and it talks about like there's a speakeasy. There's also like a map in there, which is really helpful for like um, it's like a path through the
Yeah, for the
forest
forest, so
and
you don't get
yeah,
lost and die
yeah,
in the forest.
yep. Also at some point around here, I think Ranger Acres gets your well test results back, and it turns out that the well water would basically kill you, so you can't drink it. So it's a good thing Sally has some
Yeah.
bottled water in the kitchen.
Huzzah!
Um, and then I think you can talk to Emily about some of the like idea that there's like gold hidden or whatever. Um, you can call Sally, tell her about the well water and the Malone stuff. Um, and then at nighttime, you can talk to Red again, and tell him that you're like struggling to find all of the birds for the camera shots. And this is when he tells you that you
Hmm.
need camouflage, I'm pretty
Oh
sure.
yay!
Yeah, so then you go back to M's. It's a lot of like day to night, which is okay because it doesn't take that much effort to change it. Um, so this is the part of the game that I have seen so many people that have never played this game before get frustrated. This is the worst part of the game for them. And this is because you go to Emily and she says, in order to give you camo, you have to collect her 12 little critters, meaning 12 bugs. And she gives you a bait box, and you have to go through the forest and around the house in both morning and night and find 12 bugs. And it can be difficult. Um,
Hmm.
but I have seen so many people get frustrated at this. And I understand because I think it's one of the tasks in the game that takes the longest time to complete, especially if you don't know when and what you're looking for. But I personally don't have a problem with this puzzle, but I fully understand and sympathize with those of you who despise bug gathering. What's your opinion on it?
It depends on my playthrough, I guess. Because
Okay.
sometimes I'm just like, okay, fine, I'll keep doing this. I'll just look up a walkthrough. And other times I'm like screaming at myself.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Yeah.
So, you get once you find all of the bugs and you collect the bugs, then you can go back and get a camouflage outfit, and then you can go back to the forest and you can get the pictures of the remaining birds, with the exception of the red-tailed hawk. We don't know where the red-tailed hawk is, but if you look at the map that you got, it says something. I think it says something about how there was like a big tree that used to be in the yard, and
Hmm.
Red Knot will tell you that uh, the hawk liked to hang out where that big tree was. So you're like, okay, I guess I'll try to hang out where that tree used to be. So you go out toward, it's like the tree near the dock. It's like a stump now. So if you go toward the stump that's by the dock, you can hang out right there. And then Nancy's like, oh, there's the hawk. I can hear it. So you turn around. It's sitting on the roof of the cabin. You take a picture. You'll also notice that the hawk is perched on a speaker box, which is really weird and suspicious. And then, what do you know? The obligatory Nancy gets knocked in the head moment.
Oh, yay!
So you get knocked in the head. And you wake up inside the little shed, and the shed is on fire.
I will say, Nancy did lie.
About?
Wait, never mind. She does only smoke when she's on fire. Sorry, my brain just went somewhere else. I don't know where it was.
I'd like to know what your brain did. What was the process there?
I was thinking, oh, she lies. She does smoke when she's on fire, but she said she did smoke when she was on fire. And so I don't know what my brain was going on, man.
Yeah, and all of Nancy's cigarettes also got lit.
Yeah, all Nancy's little stash that she definitely has.
Oops.
I don't know, man.
That was
my
funny.
brain just
Okay.
decided I'm gonna do something really stupid. My cat might be rubbing off on me, I think. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, for quality of life, it might be good.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, for quality of podcast, maybe not. You know?
It's okay. So the idea here is for you to knock down the, like, scythe or whatever it is that's hanging up in the shed so that you can cut the bounds around Nancy's hands free. But her feet are tied up, but she can still kind of, like, move and kick and stuff like that. So this is basically a Rube Goldberg machine puzzle.
Yeah.
Where you have to,
a
like...
pretty lame one, but, like, still, I guess it works, yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's kind of crude in regards to that, but that's the best way I can describe it. So you basically just have to move things in the order that they should be moved in order for it to, like, trigger the next thing. Anyway, you do it right, it falls. You're out of the shed now, but it's obviously still in flames, so you have to run over to the well and get a bucket of water to put it out. And then as soon as you put it out, Red Knot appears, which is weird because it's the day, so why are you here?
That was always suspicious to me.
Yeah, it is suspicious. And then I think it cuts to, like, a phone call with Sally, and you're kind of telling her what's going on, and Nancy still refuses to leave and all that jazz. But then you can go back out to Red at night, and you can give him the camera, and this is another suspicious thing. He has gas cans this time up on the platform. And you're like, bro, could you not put those away? I just got out of a burning shed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think you can talk, you in the morning, you can talk to Em about a few things again, and you can talk to Ranger Akers about a few things. I think at some point he warms up a little bit and apologizes for being rude, which I don't really think he was ever rude when he was like, I don't want to talk about my family. Because, like, number one, Nancy's a stranger. Number two, he is at work. Can you imagine if a stranger came to you at work and was like, I want you to tell me if your family has any connections with somebody who is very problematic and involved in crime? Like...
I mean, like...
But you wouldn't want a stranger to sit there and ask you that at work, you know what I mean?
Probably not. I'd be like, what are you trying to get me into?
Yeah. So I'm sorry. My question was...
The people who know, if you know, you know. If you know, you know.
Anyway, that was funnier than I meant it. I didn't mean for it to be funny at all. It ended up being funny. So okay. I think you can talk to him at some point then about his grandfather whenever he is like, I'm sorry I was rude. You can ask me what you want to ask. And anyway, so you can ask him about William Akers or whatever. And then uh at this point, oh, I forgot. There is a framed photograph on the door, like to the cellar or whatever, the cellar or the basement door.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you need to show that to Jeff Akers and be like, hey, who are these people? And he's like, well, that's Mickey Malone, but I can help you find out who this lady is or whatever. And so you're like, okay. And then the next day he's like, oh, I found out who this lady was. Her name was Vivian something. And here's her phone number. And so you're like, okay, cool. So you can call Vivian, and she's a very
Mm-hmm.
fun character.
I love her.
I do too.
Iconic.
Yeah, very iconic. You can talk to her about a lot of things, and it's some really good world building. If you're not really into games, if you're not playing games for the plot or world building, you probably don't care to go through every dialogue option with her. But if you're somebody like
Mm-hmm.
me, where it's like I live for that kind of stuff, I always go through all of the dialogue options because she really like helps kind of paint the history of the place and the people. I don't know. To me,
Listen,
it makes the
I
game feel
have to
more
know
like
everything,
alive.
you know?
Huh?
Yeah, I have to know all of your information. I have to know everything, you know?
Yeah.
No stone unturned, which sometimes gets really tedious in games,
Yeah.
but, you know.
Um, I do think that because this game has only 3 suspects, I don't mind going through all of the dialogue options with all characters, even phone characters, because
Mhm.
it doesn't ever feel like now it's excessive dialogue. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, anyway, so Vivian offers to send you a key to Waldo's headstone if you send that photograph of Mickey and her to her. So you're like, okay, sure. So you go ask Jeff to mail the photograph. He does. I think you have to. It takes like 2 or 3 days, like nights and day cycles, for the key to
Yeah.
arrive at the park office. But if you have that and you go back to the cabin, you can go through the forest, and then you can use the key on the headstone, and you hear a click. But now the
Mhm.
letters can be moved, and you're like, oh, but we don't know like what we're supposed to put in here. So you have to go back and talk to Vivian, call Vivian again. And I think this is the phone call where Eustacia Andropov is over at her
Yes.
house. And Eustacia is a character that we talk to in the final scene, which is a game we haven't yet covered in the podcast. But I thought that was a really cool like tie-in personally.
Yeah. I like that, like, the two old lady friends. One of them is like, I've told you enough. Shut up, leave me alone. I'm already dying. Leave me alone. Let me die in peace.
Yeah.
And the other one is like, oh my gosh, Carl, I haven't talked to anybody in ages. So, the background of my family from 1901 to this day right now, okay?
Honestly, your
And
impressions of the two of them were great.
oh, thank you. But I love them.
Me too.
Oh, and before I forget, I do want to talk about the other phone characters because we
Okay,
have
yeah,
Sally,
sure.
who we talked to. We have Vivian Whitmore and Eustacia Andropov, but we also have Bess and George,
Yeah.
obviously, and eventually we have the Hardy Boys.
Yay!
Yes,
It's fun to have both Bess and George and the Hardys as phone characters in the same game. I feel like a lot of times you get either one set or the other, but you don't
I
often
love
get
having
both.
both. I love having both. I need a game where we get like in person both Bess and George and the Hardy Boys. Okay,
That would be cool.
I need both. Okay,
What
there's
if
not
we get
enough.
another game in River Heights and the Hardys come to River Heights, and then you just have the whole gang?
Ooh. Or we have a game in Bayport and the
Ooh,
Drew crew go to Bayport.
yes,
I
that'd
just
be
need them to
brilliant.
meet each other, okay? Or like a summer camp game where they're like camp counselors or something. I don't
And then
know.
something like I'm pretty sure there's multiple Nancy Drew games that have to do with camps, or Nancy Drew books, not games.
Books. There's a
That-
ton of them, probably. I guess.
So they could
Or
take
like
any of
cabins,
those
or
probably
like
and
in the
adapt
woods or
them.
something. Yeah, or make it completely like original, or
Yeah.
hire me, her interact. I have so many good ideas. Like
If
so
you need
many.
anybody, call us.
Yeah, call us. Like Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, those are fun characters, and they're nice to talk to.
Yes.
And yeah, that's basically it.
Okay. So in this conversation with Vivian, she tells you that they used to call Waldo Baldo, which seems like a mean nickname if you ask me, but whatever.
But this is also her interactive, so they might have just been saying he's sexy.
Oh, because Bald is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
I guess
Baldman
that's our
Spotlight is
spotlight.
Baldo Matthias. Shout out to Baldo.
Ah,
Um,
not the Baldo.
yeah. So you go over there and you spin the letters around until they spell Baldo. And then the crypt opens and we have another secret tunnel.
Secret tunnel.
But the moment you take a few steps into it, your flashlight dies. Because of course it does. Because this is like real life.
Oh my gosh!
When
Amazing!
you know how like when in real life when you're like, I really need something to go smoothly and so it just doesn't, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I'm projecting, but
No, you're not. This is yeah.
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 So then you're like, crud, well now I don't have batteries. So where do we go for batteries? M's Emporium, of course.
I will
so
say this is so
she's like,
accurate to
"Okay."
living. I'll say this real quick. This is so accurate to living in a small town in the middle of nowhere because I've lived in a small town in the middle of nowhere before. And in this town, there was one store. One singular store. The rest, if you wanted to go to any other store, you'd have to drive at least. So there's just one store in town when you went there for everything.
Yeah.
And so whenever you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this, you go immediately to that one without a second thought. Like, and if
Yeah.
they don't have it, you're screwed.
Right.
But, like, I do love how, oh my gosh, I need something. I'll just go to this one place. And,
Yeah.
like, that was just, like, that's so accurate.
So you ask Emily about batteries, and she says, yeah, I got batteries, but you have to do this soda can display for me to look like a fish. So you're like, okay, I just want to know, like, this part cracks me up because it's like, somebody at Her Interactive was like, oh, we need another, like, exchange this for this puzzle. Like, what's another task that we could have Emily do, or Emily ask the player to do, and you're like, and somebody was like, I know, soda can display, and they're like, oh, okay, all right, makes sense, because, you know, retail store, okay, cool, but, like, how should they display it? Fish!
Fish, baby!
So funny. So anyway, you do it, you get the batteries, now you can go back into the tomb, the secret tomb stairs.
Oh, I do want to mention, so in the whole collecting bugs minigame thing, one thing that Nancy does in that is sometimes when she lifts up a rock or something, or a log or something to get the bugs, she goes, tweet, tweet!
Oh yeah, that's right.
At the bugs. Sorry, I leaned back on my mic because she does kind of like yell it and I didn't want to yell. But like she does that and I'm like, Nancy, you do know that bugs don't tweet.
Yeah, I don't.
You know?
And
if
like,
they hear
trying
tweeting,
to, like, coax the bugs out with a tweet, I think that would have the opposite effect because birds eat bugs.
Yeah, they don't want to get nom. They don't want to get snacked on. So like Nancy, I don't know what you're doing, but I love you nonetheless.
Very true.
I love you nonetheless.
So, okay, we're going down into the tunnels. So we're going through the tunnels. It splits around. It's kind of spooky down here. You've got like the lights strung up and like the dirt walls. And as you're exploring, you'll see that there's this big metal door. And if you go through it, you'll find the speakeasy. Okay. As a kid, I loved the speakeasy. And I did not realize at like 11 or 12 years old, I think I was 12 when I played this game. I did not realize at 12 years old that a speakeasy is inherently a place where alcoholic beverages are served. I just thought it was like a cool hidden hangout place. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
See, I had a weird history phase where I was obsessed with, like, the Roaring Twenties and the speakeasies and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, they shouldn't be drinking alcohol. Because that was when I, like, was very, like, alcohol is evil as a kid, which,
Yeah.
if you know my family, you know why. But I was like, this is so cool, though. Like, the vibes are awesome. It would just have been way better if they had just served, like, chocolate milk or something. Which I do think would probably be good.
Speakeasy. Let's go.
Yeah, or like in my sister's case, it would just be regular milk. So
the milk
I should
club.
actually
That honestly, that
her.
could probably be a thing. Why is the milk club not a thing?
I'm gonna ask her if she would like how she would feel about a milk speakeasy.
Why don't y'all start up a sister milk speakeasy? And people have to come and they have to say a secret word every night in order to get in. I'm just saying, it could be cool. Anyway,
the password would be moo or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or like I don't know. Moo. And if the cops want to come in and bust us, then the cops are gonna have to say moo to the door. He's like, oh yeah, I'm a cop in disguise. You know, I've got my New York accent. I got my hat and everything. I'm definitely not a cop. Moo.
I liked the Jersey accent edition there.
I got my accent. I got my
Hey,
my...
we don't allow no coppers in here.
Oh really? Well, I'm not a cop. I got the whole moo going on. I got my cow print waistcoat and tie.
Not that.
I'm sorry. We need to move on. But why is this funny to me?
It is funny. Okay. So when you're looking around the speakeasy, there are paintings of the 4 dogs, and if you zoom in on each one, Nancy will mark that dog's favorite location on the map because they were painted at their favorite location or whatever.
Yeah.
So she marks all of those for you. And it's also important that you look at like the color that's on each dog's collar. So Lucy is green, Xander is red, Vitus is blue, Iggy is yellow. Then, oh yeah, and then if you go around the counter, there is like the spigots or whatever, and you have to take the dog's names, and the first letter of each of their names correlates to a Roman numeral, and then that Roman numeral obviously has a value, and you have to change the number on the spigots to match up. So you have to do that, and then once that's done, it's another secret passage that opens up. So you go back to the main tunnels. You'll see the new passageway. And then if you look at the grid maps, there's a bunch of these grid maps, and you have to find the one that looks like the Malone property. So once you find the grid map that looks like the Malone property, if you compare that to the map that you have, you should be able to press the mosaic tiles, the 4 mosaic tiles that would signify the 4 dogs' favorite locations. So once you do that, that opens up, revealing yet another passageway. And if you go all the way to the end, there's a door, but there's no key, and you're like, dang. So now you go back out to the previous hallway, and you continue on down that hallway, and there is another room. So if you go the room, there is a big cage, and in the cage are puppies.
They're so cute.
Yeah, and they're not growly, and they don't have glowy eyes and teeth, and they're very sweet, and they're excited to see Nancy, and very sweet and
I will say, the worst thing about this game is that we can't pet the dogs.
Right?
I want to pet the dogs.
I'm pretty sure there's a
Okay?
website that's called Can I Pet the Dog or whatever, and it's just a database of like all the video games that you can pet dogs in.
And
And
this is not gonna be on there!
this can't be on there because you can't pet the dog, which is so it's just a heartbreak, you know what I mean?
And see, like, I'm gonna go a little bit off topic, but like,
Okay.
say what you will about Ubisoft, okay? But they got it right in Assassin's Creed when they let you pet the dogs and the cats. You can pet the dogs and the cats in Assassin's Creed,
We
okay?
love petting
Like,
animals.
when I found out in Assassin's Creed 3 I could pet all the dogs and everything, I wasted so much time when I could have been doing the plot just petting the dogs, okay?
I don't think
Every
that's a waste
single
of
animal
time.
in town.
That's not a
Okay,
waste of time.
yeah. I mean, we were fighting like the Templars and everything, and the British and stuff. But like, sometimes you need to pet animals, and they are cute, which is why her attractive. If we had a wait. I mean, we did get to pet the cat in Mystery of the Seven Keys,
Yeah.
and I did like that. But I
And
want
I'm
to
pretty
pet a
sure you
dog
can
now
pet
too.
Toomey in Sea of Darkness.
You can?
I think so.
Maybe you can,
I don't remember now.
but
Maybe I'm wrong.
please let us pet more animals. And if the monkeys ever come back, let me fight them physically,
I
like
was gonna say, I
fisticuffs,
don't want to pet
okay?
the monkeys. They're mean.
Like, all the other animals, like, they're fine, but if you bring back the monkeys, I will fight them.
That's another
So, but
game
I
we
want to
haven't
pet the
yet covered.
dogs. Oh god, that game is gonna be a doozy.
Yeah, it is.
But this game, my only real complaint is that you can't pet the dogs. Because
Yeah.
it's a game about dogs.
I
Dogs are a
know.
major plot point, and you can't pet them!
And Ranger Acres has a dog, and you can't pet that dog
You
either.
can't pet Yogi either!
I
And
know.
he's just sitting there,
And he's just
chilling
laying
out.
there. Like, you could
And,
pet him.
like, I want... It's a dog to pet,
You also
and
can't
he's
pet
cute.
Yuri the cat in Old Clock. What is
I
with
think
all
Yuri
of this?
is kind of...
What is with all the lack of pets? That's ridiculous.
Like, let me pet the cat and pet the dog and,
You're right.
punch the monkeys, because I hate them. But everything else
We're talking
is fine.
disclaimer.
Listen,
Anybody who is listening to this, these are fictional monkeys. Ray does not
I
want to
hate
punch
them.
real monkeys.
I mean, if a real monkey tries to attack me, I'm gonna fight back and everything,
Okay.
you know?
But
like,
you wouldn't
these
unprovoked
monkeys,
punch a monkey.
these monkeys are scamming me. These monkeys are cheating at games. These monkeys are throwing fruit at me.
Okay.
These monkeys hate me. But the dogs, I love them.
I was
and
gonna
they
say.
just are like, hello, I am cute. And so I don't want to
we're
fight
getting
them.
off topic with game here.
Yes. But the dogs...
We love the
Anyway.
dogs. We love the ghost dog.
Yes. But one of the things that does kind of like drive me nuts is that you can see the dogs like very, very well in the opening cutscene where they're like barking at the door and everything, and you can see, right? You can see them very well. But it's in the little cage area with the dog stuff, you can see what's been used to make their eyes glow, which is these goggles that have like this thing around their head that makes their eyes glow.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wouldn't I have been able to see the headset on the dogs?
And also, how do they
Like-
see through those things? It's like plastic in
know.
front of their eyes.
I don't know. Suspension of disbelief,
I guess.
you know? But as a kid, I wondered that, and as an adult, I still wonder that. Because Rottweilers, which is the breed that the dogs are, they don't really have, like, super long hair. And so, like, if it were a long-haired animal, you could easily, like, go around and, like, fluff the fur to make it look like, if it's dark, you wouldn't be able to tell. But
Mhm.
these are just dogs with short hair. So,
That's fair.
I don't know. That's a thing. Didn't they also have, like, the glowing toothpaste, too?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm sure it doesn't taste very good.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm just thinking now, like, that'd be great for, like, a sleepover prank, though, you know?
Yeah,
But, like, because everybody accidentally smells a little bit of toothpaste every now and then, you know? And
sure.
also, the dogs, they're not going to spit out the toothpaste. This is just an animal rights violation everywhere, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
No, I feel you. I feel you. So,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
so you look at all the stuff, you see obviously that this has been one big ploy, lots of evidence to suggest that. But there is a key, and so you can go use that on the locked door in the tunnels. So you say bye-bye to the doggies, and then you
Bye
go,
bye.
and then you're in this weird, like, well room, and there's a wheel on the ground. So you can put the wheel on the, like, pipes in front of you and use your screwdriver for some torque and turn the wheel a few times. There's like two different wheels, and you have to like spin them around a little bit to basically, you want the water pressure to go up and the water level to go down or something like that, so that you can open the well thing. And then if you could open it and not drown, which is the goal here, then you go down. There's yet another puzzle, and it's the dog's Roman numerals again. So you put those in, and then a pipe extends, and you can use the same wheel you used above on that pipe to open the door. And then we open the door, and what do we see? Mickey Malone's gold bars. And you're like, holy cow, I found the treasure. I gotta go tell the sheriff. So you turn around to leave, and you look up. Okay, I want to know, the first time you played this, what were the emotions that you were feeling during this sequence and the next sequence?
Um, gold. Yeah.
That's it? So I have this very
Eh.
distinct memory of like looking up and seeing the head of Emily Griffin peeking down at me, realizing she was the bad guy and she was coming down here to harm me, and getting terrified.
Yeah.
And the scramble. Sorry, go ahead.
Because for me, it's just like really disappointing. It's like, girl, leave me alone.
I thought she was scary. And like if you get caught by her, like the face she makes, it was like scary to me. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I will say, after knowing people like her, yeah. Yeah, I get that. I get that. But as a kid, I didn't. But
Yeah. So if you go back into the gold room, and you can go into the grate in the floor, and then Emily will come down the ladder, and then you can go back up into the other grate behind her and scramble up the ladder, and then basically trap her in the well so that you can go call the police and she gets caught. And that's it. We beat the game.
yay!
Yay! And it sounds very simple, but that's a fun game. I like this game.
It's not my favorite, but it's fine.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the plot and
I
mystery. Do you
I
want
will
to talk
say
about the
once you get
characters and
to
dialogue?
characters and dialogue. For me, I guess mid, because
Just mid?
like the in-person characters.
Okay, yeah.
The in-person characters to me feel pretty mid, but like the phone characters do add a lot because Bess and George, iconic. The Hardy Boys, iconic. Um, what's her name? Oh my gosh, I forgot her name. Um,
Vivian?
Vivian and Eustacia, iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the dogs, I'm counting them as characters, amazing. But like Emily, Red Knot, and Ranger Acres, Eh, I guess they don't really stand out a lot,
Yeah,
but I guess.
I agree that I think the characters are a little bit flat. I do really like a lot of the like one-liners and some of the humor that it's quotes that I still quote, like the do you smoke only when I'm on fire? Like that's a
Yeah.
classically quoted line.
It
Um
is very, yeah.
yeah, so stuff like that I think um Emily's lines about like the hinter regions and stuff, that's all stuff that's like seared into my brain forever. But I do think that like as characters, they leave a little to be desired. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Um, music?
Fine. I do think it gets best when it leans into the 1920s jazz themes,
Agree.
like the speakeasy music,
Agree.
the little like the bass and the dee-dee-dee-doo. Like, amazing. I love it. It is so nice, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I love me some jazzy. I am I am such a sucker for the jazz age, like the vibes, man. Oh, vibes.
It's very vibey. I
You know
don't
what I mean, man?
Yeah, I don't dislike any song from this soundtrack. I think it's pretty solid, and
I just like some more
I
and
think
less
all
than
of the
others.
like daytime stuff is very atmospheric and it fits really well with like the setting and everything. But I will say that I think the stuff that shines the best, I agree, is the like more 1920s jazzy
Yeah.
Malone esque vibes. Like that's the best stuff in the soundtrack.
Mhm. Yeah. So the
Puzzles.
music. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Did
Puzzles.
you have more to say?
Oh no. But basically, I was just agreeing with you. The puzzles for me are hit or miss.
Hit or miss?
Yeah.
Um, I don't think there's enough of them personally.
Yeah. There really aren't. And if they had more variety and more, I would probably be happier about it. Or even just like having like a mini game that would give more to do. But a lot of this game is trying not to get lost in the woods. I feel
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
there's a lot of
yeah,
like there's almost like most of the puzzles are like situational puzzles and not like logic puzzles. So it doesn't feel like you're actually doing any puzzles that much of the time.
yeah.
So,
Alas, alas.
alas. Okay, how about atmosphere and setting?
Fine until you get to the speakeasy, and then the vibes are off the chart. Like the cemetery and the speakeasy, amazing. Everywhere else, it's fine.
Yeah.
I like it. But this, sorry, 1920s Art Deco and like abandoned, mysterious, secret. I, listen, girl, the vibes.
Yeah,
It vibes hard. It goes hard.
it does.
Yeah,
I
that's my yeah.
I feel you. I think that like the ranger station is so boring to be honest, is like as far as the
It
setting
is.
goes. Um and the cabin I think is I think that I'm gonna be honest. Maybe this is a hot take in the Nancy Drew community. I think that the cabin is hyped up and romanticized in a way that I don't think it really deserves. It's literally falling apart.
It is.
It's probably
It
one of the
is.
most dangerous places that Nancy has stayed in, and it doesn't even have running water. Like safe running water.
Yeah. It sucks.
So I
Also,
don't know
like,
why everybody's like, I just want a cabin like that in the woods. Like, okay, well, you could probably build one with $150 of lumber from Lowe's and a box of nails.
yeah,
That's about what you
and
did.
and some floured water to make a little glue,
Yeah.
and a lot of prayers,
Yeah.
because
Like, that's
you're
basically
gonna
what
need
Nancy's
some
living
kind
in
of
at this
divine
point.
help with all this. this
But I
this
do
is gonna
like,
need some divine. measures to survive this cabin is.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I think that the speakeasy is wonderful. I know a lot of people kind of hate on the woods because you can get lost in it, but at this point I've memorized the path. And I think once you have that path memorized, like it does add to
Yeah.
the feeling of the property being quite large. So all of that and the cemetery obviously I really like. So I think we're in good agreement there. So
Yeah.
okay,
Same.
so how would you rank it?
7 out of 10.
Okay.
Like, it's good. It's just not as good as some of my favorite games in the series. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I was looking at my list here of how I've ranked every game, and I have ranked Ghost Dogs and Moon Lake at number 22 out of 34, which is lower than I remember,
Yeah.
but I'm looking at everything that I have higher than that, and
God, I need to rank mine.
I'm like, yeah, Ghost Dogs and Moon Lake isn't better than any of the ones that I have higher in my opinion. So
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with like a 5.5, maybe 5.5. It's good. It's solid.
Actually, now I'm thinking about the lack of puzzle. A 6, I think I'll go.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that I'm gonna go with 5 or 5.5, and that really just has to do with the fact that like it does fall flat in a lot of ways. However, I do think that it is very iconic in the series, and I also think it's a fairly decent game to start people on. Like I
Mm-hmm.
would consider it a decent starter game. Um,
Yeah.
so for those reasons, I think it has earned its place in the series. And I have more positive things to say about it than negatives, but even the positives, I think, are sometimes done better in other games. So I think that's how I'd summarize my overall opinion.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's
That's
a
it.
decent game. Yeah,
Do you
that's
have
it.
anything else to say about Ghost Dogs and Moon Lake?
Her interactive, you need to give us more dogs we can pet.
Yeah, please let us pet the dog.
I want to pet the dogs. They're cute.
Or cat or
And
horse or any other animal.
yeah, we can't even pet the horses.
Yeah, we just get to
What's up
put
with
their
that?
saddles on and that's it. I wish that you
And
could
feed
brush the
them.
horses in Shadow Ranch.
You can also kill the horses, which I don't recommend.
I don't
Um,
recommend that either.
yeah,
But
not great.
they let you
Um,
feed them, but they wouldn't let you brush them.
or pet them.
Dang it.
Nancy, listen, I love animals. I think they're cute, except for the monkeys in Ransom of the Seven Ships and snakes in general. But like, I want to pet the dogs, and there's
Yeah.
a game about dogs, and you can find the dogs, and you can't pet the dogs.
Yeah.
Ooh, also another thing. I think this game would have benefited a lot from having multiple attacks and hauntings from the dogs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's only one.
That's
There's only
fair.
one. And it would be a lot scarier and more vibey if you had more to worry about, you know?
It is a little weird that, like, the stakes are set really high at the very beginning of the game. And then it's like, then there's, like, nowhere else to go. And yeah, okay, Nancy gets put into a burning shed. But as far as the dogs go, it's like that threat that has been made very real is now suddenly not relevant to us.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Yeah. But other than that, it's a fine game.
Yeah.
And I think they did learn more in their later games with to have a lot more. Because, like, we get games like, even, like, Secret of Shadow Ranch, where we have a few more ghost horse sightings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, um, Shadow of the Water's Edge and, Ghost of Thornton Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Those both have a ton of spookies. And even Midnight in Salem also had a lot of spookies. And so, like, I do think that from this game on, actually, no, after the Haunted Carousel, there isn't even a haunting in the Haunted Carousel. So,
True.
Because the haunted carousel came right after this one, and you don't even like see the haunting. Like you see it on a recording tape,
Yeah,
and that's the only thing you get. But at least in this game, you actually do get one haunting. So
that's true. That's a good point.
they did learn, but yeah, that's my only complaint is the dogs and more haunting. Those three. So yeah,
Yeah.
and also Ranger Anchors is kind of hot. So
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
So yeah.
So anyway, thank you for joining us on today's episode. Sorry for our hiatus. It was not intentional. Life just got really rough for both of us at like the same time.
Yeah, it was weird.
So
we're better.
Yeah, we're better. We just couldn't afford the time or headspace to the podcast for like 4 weeks. So, it is what it is. But
and we're back.
We're back. All right. Well, we'll see you in a couple more weeks. Thank you again for listening. Feel free to reach out to us if you have ideas, comments, questions, and we will read them and take them into consideration. But until then, stay sleuthy.
Stay sleuthy.
All right. Bye.